can see the screen now.
So I think both of you are very new to Citrix, right? So before we can start, can you please let me know what is your technical background right now? What kind of day-to-day activities you are doing? It's not for Citrix only. If you are working on Active Directory console or DSCP or DNS, anything that you are doing as your BAU task.
Uh, I'm working as a help desk, supporting Windows 7 client and Windows 10 clients. Well, basically, it's connection type of thing. There's nothing much big role involved. And I'm familiar with the Windows Server 2008 R2, which we use it.
It
Adding
is quite
users, something
old.
like that, a
Are you
little
guys
bit.
still using this Windows Server
I
2008?
know we are using it, but yeah, few servers are there. I mean, 12 and 16, but I'm not working on those.
Okay, you are working on 2008, and
8, yes.
this server is in
Ba-
production for your organization right now.
That's right. The production server is 16 basically, and
Okay.
mostly the major applications are on 16, but
Mhm.
there are few legacy applications are there on 8. So that is due to we don't want to touch it, so that until and unless we migrate it to 16 Windows
Mhm.
Server. So we are just keeping as a very few users are there, very few applications which are very needed for our organization. And I do have the access to the Active Directory, but adding users, deleting users, something like that. I mean, nothing much big role.
Yeah, resetting the password and all those kind of stuff you are
That's
doing.
right.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay, no issue in that. So if we talk about the Citrix, that means we are talking about the virtualization, right? So
that's right.
what is virtualization? Any idea? Why we are
What's
using, why we are virtualizing the server? What is the purpose? Anything? Any
basically,
idea?
yeah, yeah. The idea which I got it on the virtualization side is basically, physical servers are sometimes very costly for the organization, so they are virtualizing their products
Mm-hmm.
so that they can minimize the cost, as
Mm-hmm.
well as the the for the productivity is also a very good concept of doing virtualization. It helps everybody,
Mm-hmm.
even the organization, and to cut the cost, and the users also very much good to use this virtualization product, because especially these days nobody's going to the office. Sometimes they work from the home, right? Mostly actually
Mm-hmm.
work from the home, so that's very good to access the product from anywhere.
Right. So the basic idea to virtualize the hardware, the major benefit for virtualization is that, like, we have to utilize any hardware to its maximum efficiency, right? In ideal situation, no one no machine output will be 100% in ideal situation. So with the help of virtualization, what we can do, we can easily use any hardware up to 95 percentage of its efficiency. 100% is not ideal, right?
Okay.
So this is somehow about the virtualization. If we talk about the Citrix, so you can see the basic definition of Citrix on your screen. Basically, it is a company which is located or headquartered in US, Florida, and it is popular for two major technical products. Earlier, those products were known as GenApp and Gen Desktop, but now after release 7, version 7 from Citrix, they guys has a name those products to Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop. I hope you have got some idea about those names: Virtual App and Desktop and Gen App and Gen Desktop, right?
Yes.
So earlier, before release 7, those products were named as Gen App and Gen Desktop, but now those are Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop. This is a basic definition. If you want to explore more about the Citrix or the profile, what they guys are doing, how many products they have, you can explore it on the Google. But This is a basic definition. If someone asks you, you must have to explain this at least, because multiple MNCs or multiple organizations are using Citrix for those two products only, which is virtual apps and desktop. Apart from that, NetScaler is also there, Citrix PBS is also there, MCS services we will cover, but those are the additional components, not the core components. Like, you can easily replace the NetScaler with any other firewall or load balancer like VMware, right? So those are the additional part, but the core product is Citrix virtual apps and desktop. Apart from that, we are having Citrix hypervisor as well, but again, it is an optional part. Why? Because we can use any other hypervisor also, like VMware vSphere client or your Microsoft Hyper-V. Multiple options we have for hypervisor, right?
Yeah.
So have you ever worked on VMware vSphere client or any other hypervisor?
I did work on the VMware actually.
Mm-hmm,
You know, we used to have the client of the vSphere
mm-hmm,
and used to connect to the vCenter. And
mm-hmm.
after that, we used to access the ESX servers, which is cannot be accessed from the client directly, but you have to have the vCenter to get the middle layer.
Okay. So coming to the next, like the working and key components of Citrix. So this is a kind of network diagram for Citrix, how things are working in Citrix, right? So let me explain you. So starting, where is the highlighter? Okay. So starting from the left, so basically the left one, the first one is client and user device. It could be a laptop, desktop, user's personal device or user's corporate device. It could be anything, right? And in this device, what we have to do, we have to install one application which is known as Citrix Receiver earlier, but now it is Citrix Workspace. Okay. So I hope you have uh, ever installed that application in your virtual machine or laptop or desktop if you have worked on the Citrix somehow.
Uh, I installed very few times the what do you call receiver, Citrix receiver
Yeah, Citrix
on the
Receiver.
mobile actually, just for the test purposes to get the access from the servers. So it was working fine
So
actually. I didn't.
that is the only thing that you have to do on client device. What you have to do, you have to just install one application which is known as Citrix Workspace now. Earlier it was Citrix Receiver, right? So this is done from end user side. Okay. So after that, what user have to do? User have to open a web browser into the laptop, and after that he has to enter the storefront address. So I am ignoring that Citrix gateway right now because this is a firewall. Okay. And we have
Okay.
multiple options for firewall. Okay. So we will have one storefront server, and user have to open web browser into the laptop or desktop. Then he will get one web page for authentication perspective. Like what user has to do, he just has to enter the username and password for authentication purpose, and after that that request goes to a delivery controller. Delivery controller forward the request to Active Directory console, and Active Directory server authenticate the credential. It should be valid. Okay. So
Yeah.
if credentials found valid, then again that request goes to delivery controller. From delivery controller, it will go to the license server to check what desktop or applications are published to user. Okay. Once those application validated, then again request comes to delivery controller, then go to the hypervisor. Why to the hypervisor? Because whatever the application or desktop published to the end user, all those virtual machines are hosted on hypervisors only, right?
Yeah.
And after that, finally that request goes to the storefront server, and once user click on the login tab, after the next page he will get all the applications or desktop icons on the web browser, whatever published to him. Okay, so it is a quite one-click task, right? Into the background, user do not have to wait more. Why? Because those things are configured in our data center and those process are very fast. Okay, so this right hand portion, it will be our private data center or test lab. Okay, and if talking about the core component of Citrix, so storefront, Citrix Studio, director, license server, these are the core component of Citrix, including delivery controller as well. This one, hypervisor, is an optional thing or additional thing. We have multiple choices for hypervisor. And Active Directory server is not a core component of Citrix, right? Because it is a Windows component. And SQL server is used for database perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like that server store each and every information when user logged in, when user logged off, what application you used, and for how many times used, whatever the error, each and every data will be stored in SQL server. Okay.
Okay.
So
I
this
have a
is a,
question here.
yeah,
Uh, you know, in the latest version 7.0 or 7.6 version,
mhm,
Studio, Director, and Delivery Controllers. These are three new things,
right.
and of course for storefront. In two 6.5 version of Citrix,
Hmm.
storefront used to be web interface.
Right, right.
And what about the Director and Studio and the Delivery Controllers?
And those options was
What?
not there in earlier
Okay.
version. Okay. So earlier version was quite complicated, but right now, very few organizations are left with 6.x series of Citrix
Mhm.
workspace or Citrix virtual apps and desktop. But if you want to have some hands on those as well, we can create a separate lab for that old infra as well. Okay. But
Okay.
right now, we will go with the latest one, whatever is working into the market right now. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So coming to the entire series, I have divided this series into 10 lectures. Okay. So first one is prerequisites, like whatever the prerequisites and introduction that we are covering in this session. Okay. To configure the entire data center. In the
Okay.
second lecture, we will learn how to configure and how to configure and install the delivery controllers and other core components. In the third one, we will learn how to install and configure the Citrix hypervisor. In the fourth one, we will configure a Gen desktop site and we will add our delivery controller into the site. In the fifth one, we will cover up the virtual delivery agent. Those are the VDA client. In the sixth one, we will learn how to create the machine catalogs, then how to create the delivery group, then how to install and configure a storefront server. In the ninth session, what we will do, we will test our entire deployment. Okay, and 10th one is for troubleshooting and backup plan in production. Okay, so
Okay.
this is how I have divided it into the 10 segments. So each lecture will be of more than 45 minutes or 1 hour. Okay, because sometimes it will take time to install the core component like a SQL server or any other uh,
Yeah.
heavy software. Okay, so timing will be average 1 hour for each session. Okay, but sometime it may be more than 1 hour or 2 hour. Okay, and sometimes it will be less, like up to 30 minutes. So this
Okay.
is how I am planning to take 8 session till storefront server. In the ninth one, you will be able to test your deployment. In the 10th one, we will work on the troubleshooting part, like if any user is complaining like he is not able to access the application or getting some random error. Okay, so those kind of practical things we will perform once we will set up our data center. Okay,
Okay.
coming to the infra part. So this is the infra what we have to create into the test lab. So first machine will be our domain controller. I have allocated 2 GB of RAM to that domain controller, and this is my domain name techmtech.com. In your case, domain name may be different. Okay.
Yeah.
Second one will be our delivery controller. This is the core component. We will install all the core components on this delivery controller only, like Setting Studio, Storefront, whatever the core component we have. We will configure all the core components in this machine. And again, this machine is joined into my domain, which is techmtech.com, and I have allocated 6 GB of RAM to this machine. Okay. So
Okay.
third and fourth one, those will be our hypervisors. Okay. Like Citrix hypervisor, I named it as Gen Server 01, Gen Server 02. You can name those as Citrix hypervisor 01 or 02, whatever you have. And I have allocated 10 GB of RAM to each server, and those again into my domain, which is techmtech.com. Okay.
Okay.
So what we will do in upcoming sessions, we will work with only one hypervisor. Second hypervisor we will cover in backup and troubleshooting plan, right after our
Okay.
data center setup. Why this is just suppose if this one goes down, okay, so we have to shift our entire operation in real time to second hypervisor. Okay, so that
Okay.
I will cover in backup and troubleshooting part. Okay,
Okay. Are we
again,
going to configure that as a high availability, or
yeah, high
we have to
availability
give the
will be there.
control? Okay.
High
Okay.
availability will be there.
Okay.
Okay, and again, fifth and sixth machine, those machines will be our client machine, or you can consider those as an end user machine. Those are running on Windows 10 operating system. I have allocated 2 GB RAM to this machine. Okay, and we will uh, we will try to access our storefront and our other servers with our client machines only. Why I'm getting this noise? Okay, my voice is fine now.
Yeah, you're totally fine.
Okay,
Loud and
so this will be our end user client machines. Okay, so now what I have considered as a prerequisite, like for domain controller and delivery controller, we have to use Windows Server 2019 as a operating system. Okay. Again, 2022 server is also available into the market, but we will continue with the stable version, which is Windows Server 2019. Okay. For
okay.
those domain controller and delivery controller. And for these two machines, we are having Citrix Hypervisor 8.02 version as a operating system. So we will install that operating system into our hypervisor. And for Windows 10, as I already told you, I am going to use Windows 10, or you can even go with Windows 10 or 7. 7 is not in to the support right now. Even I think Windows 8 is also not into support by Microsoft right now, right? So we will
Sure.
continue with Windows 10 client machine.
Okay. I have a
Now,
question here.
hmm,
Uh, when you mentioned about the Zen, the Zen server, which is hypervisor 1 and 2,
hmm,
hypervisor 2, right, in the
hmm,
lab,
hmm.
do we have the option to use the other hypervisor like ESX or
Yeah, yes, yes, yes,
Hyper-V,
yes. We have.
or use the Citrix? What do you suggest here?
No, no. Actually, look, most of the organization are still using VMware vSphere client as a hypervisor only. Why? Because they have some dependencies, and their majority part of virtual machines are still hosted on VMware infra, right? So they cannot
Okay.
replace entire thing immediately. So
Okay,
we
got
have
it.
that option as well. We just have to
Okay.
add hypervisor into our delivery controller. That is the only thing, right? Just
Okay.
suppose if
Okay.
you are having Citrix hypervisor and you are having vSphere hypervisor as well, you can add both
Okay.
into our delivery controller. So that is not a big deal. You just have to do right click into the host and you can add your hypervisor. Okay. So we can do
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Okay. So I have already downloaded some ISO media. So we are going to use Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop 2106. This will be our hypervisor, Citrix Hypervisor 8.0 ISO media. Again, Windows Server 2019 I am having with me. And as a
Okay.
client operating system, I'm going to deploy Windows 10 2021. Okay. So
Okay.
as you told me, like, you have some hands on your like Active Directory console. So
Okay.
I have already configured one domain controller here.
Okay.
And what I will do, I will create entire infra step by step in upcoming 8 sessions. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to follow me. And after that, once our deployment will be done and backup plan will be done, what I will do, I will destroy the entire infra and then I will ask you to recreate it. Okay.
Okay.
So this is a server machine I have created. So what I do? I can clone this and I can make another machine DDC. That's pretty it. So this is the easiest way to create a new virtual machine actually.
Okay.
What I actually did, I have created one template, okay, and I am just copying that template with different name. So
Okay.
after cloning, we will get one machine here.
Okay.
And close it. So now we are having one more machine which is DDC. Let me power it on. Close this. So here we are into the domain controller and let me log in here. So as I told you, this is my domain, techmtech.com. This is the IP
Yeah.
address
Yeah.
for my
Okay.
domain. And this is a CPU that I am using right now, i7 10th generation. Okay.
Okay.
CPU is not a big deal. That is not an issue. Now,
How much memory you got in this laptop?
this is my personal laptop. This is not a desktop. So I am having 16 GB in this laptop.
16. Okay.
Because nowadays the laptop providers or companies are not allowing to upgrade the memory because they are just providing onboard RAM.
Yeah, that is a problem.
Yeah, we cannot replace or migrate it. So
I
anyway,
know.
I'm having separate desktop as I told you earlier. Okay, so you have nothing to worry. But this is quite handy for me to take classes. So that is the only reason I'm bringing my
Sure,
laptop
sure,
only.
sure.
So this is my domain. So far I have added only one Windows 10 machine, this one into my domain. Now let's add this as well into my domain. So into the domain controller, we have nothing to do. Why? Because we just have to add few virtual machines into Active Directory console. Sometimes we have to add some DNS records. So if I go here to the tools, then DNS into the forward lookup zone, my domain. So here sometimes we have to add DNS records for Linux machines. Why? Because Windows machine automatically get those records as we are having one
Hmm?
record for Windows 10 with this IP address. Okay,
Okay.
but in Linux we have to enter those records manually. So I will let you know how to add those records. So
Okay.
also I have configured one DSCP scope into my domain controller. As you can see
Okay.
here, see my DSCP scope. And so far only one machine getting IP address. So now what I have to do, I have to check the network adapter host only, that is fine. Now let me join in into my domain. And actually, this is a basic stuff. I hope you are fine with this. How to
Yeah,
add one link to the
joining domain is okay.
because some and every session will be recorded and you will get those recordings after the class every day. Okay.
Oh,
And
okay,
you will not be allowed to upload those on any social media platform. Okay. Please do not.
okay, sure.
So now our machine into the domain. Yes. gdc.techmtech.com. That is fine. And where is that directory? Here it is. Okay. So now we have got two machines into our domain. Okay. So basically, these are the Linux machines. Okay. And that I will let you know how to add Linux machines into Windows Active Directory domain. Have you ever worked on those kind of things? How to add Linux machine
No,
into Windows Active Directory domain?
I didn't work on.
Okay, that thing I will let you know. When we will be
Okay,
installing hypervisor in third lecture, okay, then I will let
okay,
you know how to do that. Okay.
okay,
Okay. Any questions so far? So here we have covered up the prerequisites, and from
okay,
tomorrow, this session will be long. Why? Because to configure the entire delivery controller, it will take up to 1.3, not 1.5 hours, somewhere around. Okay. So
okay,
tomorrow session will be long session, and this
okay,
will be also long session. Why? Because we have to install the things. Okay.
okay.
So that is the only reason. So any questions so far, guys?
No, no
Anyone?
question for me.
Okay. So if not, then we are good to conclude the call, right?
Yeah, sure,
And we will
sure.
connect tomorrow morning
Tomorrow,
at same time. Okay.
same
Or
time. Okay,
also I will try to make it 6 a.m. as per Indian standard time. So in that way we will get more time if you are comfortable as per your time
I'm
zone.
I'm comfortable. You let me know whenever you want to change the time. You let me know in advance. 1 hour is advance notification is okay for me.
Sure, because I'm planning to cover up the things in next by today is 7, 8, 9, 10. By this Friday, I am trying to cover up the entire series for you, and then I
Okay,
will hand over the hardware to you. Then you have to
okay,
work on it. Okay. So
sure.
that is my plan actually, because I have multiple
Okay,
colleagues or multiple students from Australia as well. So time zone is
okay.
quite, ha
I understand.
sometimes I have to take class in night as well, as per Indian standard
Yeah,
time. So in that way, we have
yeah.
to manage. So you are from
Okay.
Toronto or any other location? Like what is your time zone?
My time zone is Toronto time zone, but I don't live in Toronto proper, but
Hmm.
I'm in suburb of Toronto. The area is called Oshawa.
Okay. And you are working with, I forgot the organization name, what you told me actually.
I'm working basically, the organization called WinTech, which is very small organization
Okay.
based
Okay,
in
guys. Thank you
Toronto.
very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you so
See
much.
you later.
Good day. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.